Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, Malo, on football. I hope you had an absolutely amazing weekend, man. Football weekend, second week of the English Premier League. A lot happening, obviously, there in the English Premier League with some interesting results from a local point of view. Kaiser Chiefs fans unhappy, man. So much to touch on, so much that's going on. So yeah, man. Malo on football, just a platform, man, where I give my views and everything that's going on in the world of football, both locally as well as internationally. So here we go. Let's get into it, man. I think let me start international first before I come to South Africa. So we're hearing reports now saying that Nicolas Pepe, I'm sure you all remember him, the Arsenal right winger he was signed by Unai Emre. He came in that side with Aubameyang, with Lacazette, and really was a bit hot and cold in my opinion. Obviously big money. I think it was about 80, 90 million pounds at the time. A lot of it expected of him and really didn't live up to the hype, maybe. I don't think there was a lot of hype, but I think, whenever you're an African player, and I have to mention African, and sign for that type of money, all eyes are going to be on you at the end of the day. So he came into the side, I think won a FA Cup in Mikel Arteta's first season, if I'm not mistaken. Then ever since that, I think, after the Emre era and Mikel came into the side, Mikel just started cleaning up the team. We saw what he did with Lacazette. We saw what he did with so many players, even Aubameyang himself, who was the captain at the time, being shipped off and really just cleaning up Arsenal, from the bottom up, getting new players, fresh identity, fresh culture in the team. I think he just didn't see Pepe as someone who works hard enough for the team, someone who tracks back, someone who even offers enough going forward. And in my opinion, I think to a certain extent he was right, because I think at the time, I think the whole Arsenal team wasn't playing well, but also Pepe himself, he'd come on and maybe have a flash of brilliance where you look at it and like, okay, there's a player in here. But then consistently he wouldn't do that week in and week out. So you have to ask yourself, what do we pay so much money for, number one? And number two, is this someone you can rely on? We're playing Crystal Palace tonight. I'm just thinking, if he was in the squad, in the starting lineup, is he someone like a Saka who you can rely on to make tackles as well when you need, to have to track back, to give you enough going forward in terms of work rate, commitment? Football is not only about the beautiful stuff going forward, but the working hard for the team. We're seeing now with this Arsenal side, teamwork is everything, man, and compatibility and gelling with other players. And I don't know if Pepe has what Mikel Arteta wants from a work rate point of view. So that's pretty much the bit of the backstory, a bit of the middle, a bit of the history with regards to Pepe at Arsenal. So recently he's been asked to train on his own. So Pepe, pretty much since the beginning of the season, even in preseason, he hasn't really been part of the first team setup. He's been training on his own, which for me at the time I thought, was really unfair. He's still a squad player, regardless of if you are thinking of moving him along. We're hearing offers back to France. We're hearing Galatasaray in Turkey. We're hearing so many offers, even Aston Villa to be reunited back with Unai Emery. But to be training alone, in all honesty, is not something that will do good for a player's confidence. But reports today, and I'm making this video obviously on Monday, reports today are that Pepe is now actually being asked to, I don't know, maybe he met with Arteta and they've actually had a meeting to discuss, to say, look, the past is the past, come back and be in the fold, be a part of the first team setup. So if you are Pepe at this particular time, what are you thinking? You're like, okay, this team didn't want me. They let me train on my own. Rumors were that I'm leaving. But now that no offers are coming in and the transfer window is about to close, what happens now? Because time is running out. We know we need a backup for Saka in that position. Pepe is in that position. He can play right or left wing. So is it rumored, or is it being assumed now that Pepe could actually be the one who, instead of us having to go out and find an alternative player, forward player in that position, we just keep Pepe and we just like, look, put your hand around him and actually just make it work? Because instead of having to now scramble and try find a player who's maybe not Premier League proven, and you have to fork out more money, we already know how much money Arsenal has spent. Should we not just keep Pepe and just give it another go? This is a different Arsenal to the one he joined. The confidence is high. his confidence might not be. But I think if he gets reintegrated into the squad, potentially there could still be a player there. I really believe there is a player there still. It's just what is his mentality going to be like coming in, or is this going to actually be the push that he needs to actually show us the brilliant player that a lot of people believe that he is. So yeah, man, that'll potentially be him backing up for Saka. Obviously, Pepe wouldn't be starting, but as a backup to Saka, potentially that's what we might need. If we're not going to be going out in the transfer window looking for an alternative player. So yeah, man, let me know your thoughts on this Pepe issue. It's been a long transfer window. It's been a difficult time for him. So like I said, man, his mentality, where is he at? Does he want to be reintegrated with the team, or would he prefer just to move away? So that's really something that I think Arteta is going to have to consider, is that bringing him into the squad, what is his mentality going to be like? Is he going to be happy to do so? Is he going to sulk, or is he actually going to turn around and prove a lot of people wrong? Because I still feel that potentially there is a player there, but he has to do a lot more work than what we've currently seen. So yeah, man, that is Pepe with regards to Arsenal and what we do with that particular move or transfer. Do we let him go or do we keep him? Interesting results, man, this weekend from a Premier League point of view. Obviously, the standout one was obviously Chelsea losing, Manchester United losing. Man, after so much money that Chelsea have spent, losing. I mean, I still do think Pochettino will have a decent season. I think I predicted top five, maybe even, top five, maybe even top four. But they have to start getting points on the board. 1-4 for Chelsea. And yeah, man, Moises Caicedo, not a good start for him. He was so excited. His mother was there taking pictures and everything. And first game, you go and make a rash challenge and give away a penalty. So yeah, man, 115 million pounds to make such a mistake. It won't do his confidence any good at all. But yeah, man, moving on to local football. And obviously the big talking point is Kaizer Chiefs. So I wanted to just give my views on what's currently happening from a Kaizer Chiefs perspective. We saw obviously them losing 1-0 to TS Galaxy on the weekend, and the fans once again throwing missiles, I call them missiles, I don't know, stones, papers, rocks, whatever, at the coach. And I must say, is this, I don't know, man. Players need to also take a lot more responsibility. This is at Kaizer Chiefs and all other clubs where results are just not going your way. But for me, the Kaizer Chiefs management really need to get a grip on what is actually going on in the club. I made a video, like I always do, a couple of weeks ago regarding Kaizer Chiefs, playing style, philosophy, management, just forgetting about the brand of the club that they actually represent and that they actually are spearheading. I mean, they've changed from Gavin Hunt to so many coaches, to Arthur, to coaches before that, and just not finding the formula. And I mean, it's only 3 games into the PSL, and I mean, fans are already voicing their anger with the coach, throwing missiles at him and the like. And I think if management don't again get on top of this, and I mean, what does even getting on top of this mean? Does it mean getting rid of ntseki, who's literally, this is his first season at Kaizer Chiefs at the helm? Yes, he's been in the club in other positions, but yeah, man, it's really disappointing to see what's happening with the brand Kaizer Chiefs. I've made a video about this, and just where do they go from here? Because I mean, do you change coaches again? Do you bring in someone else? But I think management have to take the responsibility. We know they are building. We know that there are a lot of new players integrating into the system, new coach. But I mean, this is Kaizer Chiefs at the end of the day. For how long are they going to keep saying it's the coach, it's the coach, it's the coach? And obviously it's the players it's the fans that are actually saying that, because they are hurling insults at him and objects at him. But I mean, should they not be looking above to say, it's management who ultimately are making the call in terms of who is the coach at this football club? And the investment, I keep going back to, if they're not willing to invest a decent amount of money in top quality players, this is going to be season in and season out for Kaizer Chiefs, where they're just staring down the barrel of top 8 consistently, or is that where they are at the moment, that they're no longer a top 2 football team or a top 1 like they used to be? They're just going to be content with top 8. And what happens? You lose fans, first of all. Once you lose fans, you lose sponsorship. Once you lose sponsorship, you can't buy players, which they haven't really been doing. So where does the where does the cycle stop? Where do they actually put a stop to this and say, okay, we're going into the transfer market, we're buying quality players and not unknown players that are still not tried and tested in the top leagues, not just in Africa, but potentially even in Europe. I mean, we're talking about players like Pepe. We're talking about, other players being reintegrated into the squad. Where are the other top African players at other leagues that Kaizer Chiefs need to fork out money and actually make an investment in trying to bring some of this quality to their side? Because we're just seeing, what is it, 4 games, Mamelodi Sundowns, 12 points. What is that? Kaizer Chiefs, how many points? 11 or so already behind after 3 games. Seriously? Yeah, it's really, really disappointing from a Kaizer Chiefs point of view. But hey, man, I'm just here to, spark your brain and give you some ideas with regards to what Kaizer Chiefs potentially need to do, because what's currently happening is just, from a sponsorship point of view, I mean, Kappa, what must they be thinking? They have now rejoined teams with Kaizer Chiefs. When they were with Kaizer Chiefs previously, the club was flying in those days with Dr. Kumalo and the like, and all the top players that they used to have. But where's any of that? Where's any of that big brand? Where's any of that big players? I saw a picture of Knowledge Musona on social media the other day, and I'm like, that's a top quality player. That's the level of player that Kaizer Chiefs need to be looking at. Obviously not him, but those types of players. But I don't know, and you can't tell me we don't have that on the continent. You can't tell me that Kaizer Chiefs can't still attract top players, but are they willing to put their money down and actually pay top dollar for that top quality player? Otherwise, I don't know. Are management just comfortable in top 8? Potentially. Maybe fans need to lower their expectations. You guys are the fans of the PSL. You guys maybe need to lower your expectations of what you think Kaizer Chiefs is as a brand. Maybe that's the reality, is that, look, guys, management haven't come out and said it, but maybe they're just not a top 3-4 team anymore, and they are a top 8 team, and internally they've decided that, look, we've got the fan base, we've got the brand to get sponsorships, but on a football point of view, we're not really chasing trophies anymore. And that's okay if that's their philosophy, because the trajectory that they're currently going is not one that shows you that they're going to win a title or anything serious anytime soon. So yeah, man, those are my views, man, with regards to local football, everything that's happening in Kaizer Chiefs. Obviously, it's the top story currently at the moment with the ntseki, and he seems to be a bit more positive, obviously, at the end of the day, but we'll have to wait and see what management do, or they're just going to take it game by game, and just see how it goes and let the games keep rolling on. And you look at it even from a performance point of view, results are one thing. And, we all watch football, our teams might not get results week in and week out, even Arsenal, sometimes they get a draw or they lose at times, but the performance is still there. And I think that's what a lot of Kaizer Chiefs fans will be upset about, is the performance, is it there? Is it not? I don't know, man. I don't know. Kaizer Chiefs fans, what are you guys feeling, man? Let me know. Malo on football this Monday afternoon. Looking forward to the big game versus Crystal Palace, as I mentioned on Friday. Yeah, man, let's get the 3 points. Let's keep hot on the heels of Manchester City. It might only be the second game, but, let's keep up with the pack, as they like to call it. So Malo on football this Monday afternoon. Let me know your thoughts, man, on all things football related. We out.